Hi boys and girls, I'm Rosemary, and today we're going to be painting this shark bank. Now, take the stopper out of the bottom before you start. Still have the stopper in there. And there's no slot for the money on this one. You put the money in through his mouth. Is that cool? I think I probably have something in there too. It sounds like it. Okay, so what we're going to do first is make sure that you have water. You have some water next to you. You do not have to put your brush in the water to begin with, because if you do and you have a very wet brush, the paint will run. So I want you just to use a dry brush to start. I have a little bigger brush so that I can go faster. But what I want you to do is paint the entire piece in the gray. And that means also you can go over the teeth, you can go over the mouth, and wherever the white is going to be, because everything will go on top of the gray. So use your bigger brush. If you have even bigger brushes at home, it's fine. If not, take your time and put it on nice and smooth. Don't dip for more paint until you run out of paint in the brush that you have, okay, that you're using, because you don't want to just glob the paint on, then it won't dry. So if you put the paint on like this and you just leave it like that, you'll have ridges in your paint and it will not dry. So you see how far that brush load goes? And depending on the size brush that you're using, you might have to dip more than I'm dipping. I have a very big brush here that I can go faster when I'm doing this video. So just put on one good coat. If one coat doesn't cover, you can go over it a second time. But this is a pretty good paint and it covers pretty well. So see how I keep going back and I just keep smoothing it. I don't want any ridges in my paint. Okay, and I'm going to go over the teeth. Oops, I have to get a little more paint there. And you don't have to do inside. It really would be impossible to get inside the mouth anyway. And if I see a light spot, I just go back and I go over it again. And then do your whole bottom. I'm not doing the bottom because I didn't pull the stopper out. But on this one, I did do the bottom. Nothing is ever completed unless the bottoms are painted. I was taught that a long time ago. You must paint the entire piece, but you don't have any white spots showing. Even if you're going to leave areas white, you still have to paint them white because the bisque is porous and then it would just get dirty. So, and it's a nicer white than the white of the bisque when you put on an acrylic. Okay, so just keep applying this. Now, you don't have to watch me do this. You can pause the video. That's the advantage of having this video. You can take your time and then come back on after you have it all base coated in the gray, and then follow the instructions from there. You want this to dry a little bit before you put the other colors over it anyway, and that doesn't mean hours, but a few minutes in between. If your paint looks wet, it is not dry. If it looks shiny, it's not dry enough. Okay, I just have to do the tail. And because I just put this on, look, there's nothing on my hands because I pulled it out all the way. If you don't pull it out, it will not dry. So one smooth coat. Now I'm doing this video for those of you who are not attending the in-person class, so that you have your kits and you have some colors and a couple of brushes in there. But if you wanted to get other colors and do other than what I gave you, Michaels carries Craft Smart and some other acrylic paints. And they're just water-based acrylics, so you can use anything that you desire on the shark. I think I even gave you some extra color in there too. So, fool around, play. You can draw designs on him. I didn't do that, but you can. You can draw flowers on his back. Now, if I was going to leave this to be my finished piece, I would probably do a second coat, but for teaching purposes, I have the one coat on there. Now I'm going to wash my brush in the water, and I want to dry it really well. You can always take it to the sink and wash it with soap when you're finished. It will let your brushes last longer. Okay, and then dry it out before you go into your next color. So we're going to do the white next, and the white is kind of pounced and feathered on, dry brushed on. They make these things so hard to open. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I got it. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feather on some of the white. Now I have white above the red on his lip. I have white over here, white on the fins and the tail, and along the bottom, because I always feel like an animal always has a white chest and underneath them. So I did white. I don't know if, whales have that, but I did it anyway. So you can use your own imagination on it. I put a little bit of white in the brush, and I'm taking some of it out of the brush so that I can just pounce it on the piece. Just dab and dab and dab. And you don't want puddles, remember. This is just so it doesn't look like it's painted. It just looks more natural. You can also dry brush it on, but pouncing it goes a little bit faster for the children that are doing this. Okay, so I put a little white there. Again, a little bit, take it out of the brush. And I also did some underneath here. And there's no right or wrong. Just like all of us have different coloring, animals have different coloring, fish have different coloring, so whales have different coloring. So there's really no right or wrong. You can do whatever you'd like. And if you go back and do it a second time, see how dry mine is? I'm able to go back right away. It'll be a little sharper. The white will show up a little bit more. But you have the idea. Now on the fins and the tail and around the mouth, I take it from the edge and feather in, not away from it, but into it, so that I can just get that little feathered edge like that. You see that? Just feather that in. I did the same thing with his fin here on the top. I want both sides, but it's from the edge in. And then we'll do the tail the same way. We'll come in, and then go the opposite way on the back. And I do it twice because the white is sharper on the second coat. So I'll do everything once and then go back and do it again. You see, every time I put the white in the brush, I take it out on the paper towel. I'm going to put a little bit above his teeth. See what I'm doing there above his teeth right here? It's hard to do it and you see what I'm doing, because then I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're coming up from this edge, feathering it up. Okay, how'd that come out? You can see it better than I can. Okay, on that top, and then on the bottom part, I'm going to go back and just put a little bit more, a little higher, above the white that I stippled on there. And then I have to do this fin. Okay, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to do it a second time. And when you do it a second time, the color is more vivid. Do everything twice and it becomes whiter. Unless your white is very heavy when you first put it on, you should go back and do a second coat. So you do everything twice. Okay, so you have the idea. You can play with it more than I'm playing with it. And if you wanted to do another coat on the chest, you could see where I just started to do a second coat there. It's much whiter. Okay, so each time you do it, it gets a more vivid color. Okay, so now I'm also going to go in with maybe a smaller brush. I have a little smaller brush. You have the same size brush I have here. And put the white on the teeth. So I'm just going across the teeth like so. Put a little bit in, take a little bit out, and just go across. I'm not going in between the teeth. I want the gray to show. So I just put a little bit in between the teeth. My picture is very dark and I don't know why. Oh, that's better. Sorry about that. Okay, so put the white on the teeth by going across the teeth with your square brush, the square brush that you have. You could use the small one too, the little round one, but it takes longer. If you go with the flat one, the flat brush, you go right across, you leave the gray in between the teeth to show some shadowing. And let's see what else we can do. And then I'll rinse this out, and then I'll go back and do the same thing with the red. I think this one is done. And I need a little bit of red to put around his mouth. I'm going to feather that red the same way I feathered the white. So I'm going to put a little bit of red in my brush, very little, wipe it out on the paper towel, and just put some above and below the teeth. You see what I did there? It's the same thing I did here on this one. So it's feathered on. I didn't paint it on. I feather it on, which means I take that square brush and start at the top of his teeth and just pull like a little lip around there. And if I get it on the teeth, I'll just go back and touch them up. Okay, just made it cool, gives it a little bit more color because the whale really doesn't have that much color in it. So then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. You could also do that twice to make your color sharper. But each time I put the color in the brush, I do wipe it out on the paper towel because I don't want it to be too strong. And I have some on the teeth, and I would just go back and I would touch that up with a smaller brush. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that. Don't ever leave your brushes laying with paint in them for any length of time, because as fast as the color dries on the piece, it dries in the hairs of the brush, and that's how you ruin your brushes. So until you can get to the sink, what I'm doing is I swish them in the water, and most times I just lay them across the top until I get a chance to go and wash them better. So now with the white, I'm going to go back and I'm going to touch up the teeth. And I have red on them, so now I'm using the rounder brush, and the teeth are really showing up whiter now too, with the difference in the white on this side. Okay, so you can go back with your little brush and you could paint a little white on your teeth. Makes them sharper, the color sharper, and gets rid of any red that you got on there. Because now you're doing this with a little brush. Okay, so I did that. I got the white on there. All right, and now with the black, paint an eye. Now, if you have trouble doing an eye, you can use the back end of your brush to do that circle. I guess I could use this one. So put the black on the handle of your brush, the handle. Okay, let's see how this works out. And put it right in the middle, and then if you want it a little bigger, if it's too small, just circle. Go around in a circle, and that's how you get a round eye. Okay, so it's the handle of the brush. Put it down in the middle and make a little circle with it. Just go around, around, around until it's the size that you want. See that? Okay. Now, to do the outline like I did there, I take my smaller brush, which you have, and I just put a little arch over it. You can do lashes. I did lashes. Watch where we touch. And you could just do a couple of little, whoop, see now I have too much water in that brush. So I just have to let that dry. Okay, so I did a couple of lashes there. And I'll do this one. Okay. Now you can outline the bottom too. On this one, I think I outlined the bottom. Be a nice idea to take your small brush and write your name on it. If you wanted to do any kind of designs, you can do whatever you want on here. You can do stencils. You can do dot tools. Dot tools really are cute. I'll show you a piece that I did with a dot tool. And what I mean by a dot tool is they're sponges on a stick. And I did this teddy bear with sponges on a stick. So you can get those little yellow sponges and they come on a stick. Amazon sells them. I'm sure Michael sells them too. And these are two different size ones that I have on here. This is a glazed piece, so you wouldn't have this, but I wanted you to see the size and how dots look also. You wanted to jazz him up, go right ahead. He's your piece and you're the artist, and you can do whatever you would like on it, okay? You can just write your name or someone's name if you're giving it away as a gift on the piece also. So that's how I did my shark. Be creative, use your imagination, and, you know, make him look different. Make him look different. He doesn't have to look like anything in the ocean. It's art, and whoever saw a shark bank anyway in the ocean. So it's cutesy, and it's your choice to do whatever you would like to do with it. So thank you for watching this video. Have fun, enjoy ceramics, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.